Hello, and welcome to another episode of In My Experience with yours truly, Christine DeGinto. This podcast is a space where I speak from lived experience. The moments that shaped me, challenged me, and changed the way that I understand myself in the world. The awakenings, the breakdowns, the moments that cracked me open, asked me to stay present, be embodied, and be honest with myself. I share my stories not to persuade or define truth for anyone else, but to offer perspective, to explore the gray areas we don't often have language for, to slow things down and listen more closely to what's happening beneath the surface. You'll hear solo episodes where I reflect on my own initiations, spiritual gifts, and the systems that tried to define me. And conversations with guests who have walked strange, beautiful, and sometimes painful paths of their own and come back with wisdom to share with us. I invite you to take what resonates, leave the rest, and trust your own experience as valid. Thank you for being here. This is In My Experience. Hello and welcome to this episode of In My Experience. Happy spring. I hear my wind chimes, I have windows open, I hear kids playing outside. It brings me joy. I'm happy to usher in a new season of growth and beauty. Today I have a wonderful conversation with Jeremy Silva, aka Steelo Free, one half of the Outside Minds podcast, which I was just recently a guest on. I heard an episode that he was a guest on Amy Belair's podcast recently, where he shared his awakening story, and it resonated with me on multiple levels. So I reached out to him to connect. I invited him to come on to my show, and we talked a little bit about my experience because I heard about his awakening. So he started asking me questions about my awakening, which I still have not given to you all here as a reference point. But I'm starting to discuss more and more this experience that I had about 5 years ago in May of 2021, where I jumped timelines for a brief period of time and then came back into my body and had multiple levels of disclosure regarding my soul, my journey, my mission, my contracts, and some accessory facts regarding entities that believe they own me. How hilarious. So it's been a journey, not too difficult to not dissociate, because it is very easy to dissociate, isn't it? Sometimes I do, I'll be honest. We all do. Recognizing those points where we do and kind of stopping yourself from doing that, integrating the knowledge between all of the parts of yourselves and moving forward in a positive, reinforced, stable way. That's what we're here for. So I hope you enjoy this conversation that I had with Jeremy. We touch on a few points again regarding my initial awakening and just a little preview to share. I also, this past weekend, listened back to the first reading that I had with my local shaman, who is a Native American shaman. For her whole life, she's studied, born shaman, and she helped guide me 8 months after my experience. It took me quite a long time and much research to even be able to articulate in English what I believe happened in a way that, like, without crying or, getting upset or having really like flashbacks to the point where I'm like not able to have a cohesive conversation, because it was such a jarring experience. But thank fucking God for it. And I know, and it's reiterated in her reading again, she describes how it was a contracted experience. I asked for this and I was like, let's just skip right through all, like, I want all of it. in normal fashion, regular fashion, of course. I'm like, send it, give it all. Um, to my chagrin, sometimes, only sometimes though. Um, yeah. So enjoy this episode, and I'll catch up with you at the end. Hold on now. I had to come back on here and say something. Um, I just heard a kid outside, and I'm not even near the window, but I heard the kids. He says, "Let's go hunt for a clover." And it just brought the biggest smile to my face. So I'm going to leave you with that now. Enjoy. So technically, Jeremy and I are just meeting right now. We've never talked before, besides just an invitation to come onto the show. I heard you speaking on Amy Belair's podcast. I love Amy. I adore her.
She's great.
She's so great, and I've worked with her for over 4 years now, and just so appreciate
Oh,
her.
okay.
Yeah, in my journey, it's just really I feel very called to be connected with her type of energy and the information that she's bringing through. I just feel like she articulates things so beautifully.
Yeah. Are you an
So
Akashic Records reader or do you do any kind
yes,
of intuitive work? Okay, nice,
yes,
nice.
yes.
Wow.
That is what I have come to do, and I call it the Akashic Records. People see it differently. People sometimes
Yeah.
visualize it as like a library a
Yeah.
lot of times, or like records, but I just basically channel like the frequency field of information through all of my
Yeah.
clairs, like, and it
Yeah.
comes in different ways. Information drops in differently. Um, but I've learned to tune myself and hone those clairs through her programs primarily.
Okay. And
So
then
I
figure
feel,
out where the
yeah,
signs are coming from and listen to the signs and understand the
yeah,
symbolism that your consciousness is speaking or subconscious is speaking to you in. Yeah, yeah. I was going through an Akashic Records reading course, but I didn't finish it. I got about halfway through, because I just wasn't ready for it. It was very hard, and I still have the course like online. I can still do it and go back into it, and I
yeah.
have all the book and paperwork and stuff like that. But lately I've been really into tarot, as you heard on the podcast. But yeah, I wanted to ask you, were you always like intuitive, like kind of intuitive, like inherently, or did that kind of like happen to you through like an NDE or psychedelics or anything like that?
I'm finding that I have always been, but I was kind of societally gaslit into like, that's not real, that's in your head. Like,
You're just
why
like,
are
oh,
you?
that's just an educated guess kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
I was never a conspiracy theorist. Like, I didn't follow conspiracies. People would say crazy shit, and I would just be like, "What?" But then as time went on, like the picture, the symptoms, the signs are just so fucking loud anymore. And I did
Yeah.
eventually have an experience, a metaphysical experience, I call it, where
Okay.
I like essentially, oh my gosh, I essentially jumped timelines
Okay.
consciously.
Oh.
But I didn't mean to. I was like basically made to through psychic attack.
Oh.
But I think that I also planned it with that soul, like somewhere along the lines.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I
Yeah.
didn't know, like, I'm just me over here in this life, and I have no idea. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, like everything opened up, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I had like no prior knowledge, like, I didn't know what chakras were, I didn't know anything about really any other worldly religions or cultures or practices. I was always very interested in Greek mythology. I feel very aligned with
Same.
Greek mythology.
Same.
Yeah, I've never been associated with religions though, like even Christianity. Like I always sort of like rejected organized like religion, and
Yeah.
I had my
Yeah.
own sort of like connection with spirit and God, as I
It's
say.
funny
It's like,
because the more I study like the esoteric areas of stuff and I'm getting into like Kabbalah, Hermeticism, Gnosticism, like the more that's turning me into a Christian. The more I'm
yeah,
looking into like the esoteric teachings of Jesus Christ and really like what internally he was trying to teach us about consciousness. I'm really attracted to it right now. But yeah, growing up, I was just I remember super being into Greek mythology and just being like really captivated, especially by the art. Like I would draw like the helmets and stuff like that, the warrior helmet and like the
yeah,
gods and stuff like that. But yeah, it was really interesting to me before growing up, and I've been I'm in this group with these kids that used to be in the gate program. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it was like this CIA program where they tried to find psychics, and a lot of the kids that I'm talking to in this group had similar interests growing up, like Greek mythology and
Yeah.
stuff like that too.
Yeah, it's so funny. This always happens. It's probably because I'm a psychic. I should probably just accept it, but I still always have to word it before I start talking. But I don't know you. We've never met. I,
Uh-huh.
but I always think ahead, like when I'm preparing, getting ready,
Hmm.
putting things together. I'm like, I wonder what we'll talk about, and I get answers. And this is along the lines of like something that I was
Oh,
thinking about. I was like,
okay.
oh, I wonder if he was like a little weirdo too. Like,
Yeah,
because I was
absolutely I
thinking,
was.
no offense to you, but because I don't know you, but I was like, I don't talk to many men in this space that are spiritual and
Uh-huh.
have these same types of like thoughts. That might
Yeah.
just be because of where I am around like the
Uh-huh.
East Coast. It's just a little bit more about what you do for work, how much
Hmm.
money you make, what you look
Yeah.
like. People don't make
Yeah.
eye contact in the grocery store kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's kind of fucked up. I feel real weird out here. I've been out west. I've traveled more in the past 5 years than I ever had in my life. And I find, I'm received very differently in other places than I am
Oh,
here.
wow.
And it could be my energy, but
Uh-huh.
it could be the collective energy of the space where you are, but
Yeah.
for whatever
I'm glad
reason,
you
I don't run into
go
a lot
ahead.
of guys who create this amount of focus in their lives
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
recognize and learn and
Hmm.
think and conceptualize it. I find it fascinating.
Yeah, well,
So,
especially when you get into like the metaphysical side of stuff and like, like tarot reading and like Akashic record reading, like that's very like divine feminine based because it's very intuitive, very creative. And I kind of have always been really in touch with the divine feminine, so to speak. Like I've always kind of been in touch with my emotions. Like when I played football as a kid, like my mom would be like, "Man, he's over there crying on the ground." The coach is like, "He's not gonna be crying no more next season when they're all making fun of him." She's like, he don't care. Like he'll cry it out. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I always been. I feel like I've always been forced to, uh, with confrontation with my emotions. So I've always kind of had to be in touch with them in order to navigate. You know what I mean?
hmm
So I feel like that could be a reason why I've been able to step into this space a little bit more confidently than a lot other males because a lot of other dudes you don't see them doing like, tarot readings and Akashic record readings and stuff like that and being open about spirituality, you know what I mean? Like cuz as society, we're kind of forced to put out this front that, we're supposed to be strong and we're just supposed to be like the masculine aspect. But, as you would probably know, when the more you look into spirituality, it's really about knowing that we all have a divine masculine and divine feminine within us. And the point is to balance those. And women aren't naturally intuitive and have natural ESP because they're naturally more in tune with their divine feminine. And whereas men are kind of like more, you know, they kind of excel like in the workforce and stuff like that, and they're a little bit better at time management and logic and stuff like that, is because we're a little bit more in touch with the divine masculine. And I feel like each gender needs to explore the counterpart in order to have a more balanced way of navigating through the matrix. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Uh, Interestingly, I was thinking about I have this, so you were talking about the GATE program. I think that I am also involved in government programs, but here's the thing, I don't think I'm special. I think a lot of people have been tracked by the government and infiltrated
Mm-hmm.
through their dreams and targeted because of their capabilities and also like intentionally interfered with, like I was describing. And I don't mean to talk about this to spread fear, just awareness,
Yeah.
because, you know, that was one of the things that I seemed to walk away with knowledge-wise after that experience where I jumped timelines and I was like in an alternate timeline and something was happening that didn't make sense to me. And because I questioned it and tuned into my heart and my emotions, I like broke out of that, came back into my body and was like, what the fuck? Like I looked up above me and there was a big screen like just floating in the air.
Whoa.
And I was like,
So,
is this aliens? Like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? It was crazy. Um,
and when you said like you feel like you were like being tracked by the government, did you feel like that kind of coincided with your event when you jumped timelines, or were they connected with like the people who were doing the psychic attacks on you or anything like that? Were those events coincided?
it's different levels. Like this thing that I experienced, I think it was personal on a soul level. Like I had an agreement with someone that I describe as like my twin flame. he passed away, but we had a telepathic sentient connection, and I could feel him
Wow.
and like hear him, and like I felt very connected to him. And I wouldn't say that I cheated because I had already moved out and like left my ex-husband and
Hmm.
then pursued this person, but he had a girlfriend, so I consider it cheating because I knew that.
Yeah,
And but I
yeah,
didn't know her. I never met her. See, if I met her, I would have never done that. But like because I didn't know her, we had such a strong connection, like I actually just couldn't even stop it. So I think that it was karmically like intentional because what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like that's not normal
yeah,
for me to
yeah,
just like, but I took that leap in my breaking my morals. And then so when this event happened, I thought that basically I thought I became a sinner and that something happened like God was like punishing me or something because I have this like programming just living in America under trying to understand what
yeah,
God
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Like I don't really have a religious framework. Like I just was like, wow, is it because I sinned because I did something that I knew was wrong and this is what I have to do?
And
Like
was that the only religious framework that you had like for reference? Like you weren't into spirituality at the time or anything like
no,
that?
not at all.
Okay, wow,
No. But
wow.
I I I always like had love and hope and believed like in heaven and believed in ghosts and but I was kind of more afraid of it because I didn't understand it. I didn't think of it in a metaphysical quantum physic kind of way. Now I
Yeah.
do. And it really has expanded my framework of understanding of like the different levels, the different
Hmm.
parts that play over and over, the archetypal themes,
Yeah.
um, the opportunities that come up that we kind of prepare for. We plan for that and we
Yeah.
agree to this, and it's sort of like, what are we doing here? Why is this happening? And one of the things, I guess, like what happened after I did that, and if you, I mean, I don't want to repeated like tell this story over and over because it's
I
like my
know. I'm
one
just like
story.
your
No,
followers or
no,
your listeners probably have already heard it a bunch of times. So we can get into like whatever you want to
maybe.
ask me, but this is super interesting to me.
Yeah, no, I haven't talked about it on my podcast yet because I figured that it'll just come out throughout each one because it
Oh,
is like
okay,
the
okay.
pivotal moment. So I will repeatedly be talking about it, but like I don't want to take all the time talking about it with you, but I'll just say Amy's podcast, I've been on that a few times, and the most recent one, I described it more clearly than I ever have before because it has been difficult for me to articulate, even to give language
Okay.
to, because I didn't have the
Yes.
language. I
Yeah, yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
conspiracy
yeah,
theorist, and
yeah.
I wasn't spiritual in the sense
Hmm.
of like, thinking that that was possible. Now I've seen things on TV like Loki and like, just things that you're like, oh yeah, that's cool, but science fiction stuff, The
Yeah, yeah,
Umbrella
yeah,
Academy, whatever, whatever. Like so
yeah.
many examples. The Good Place, that's like my favorite show. Have you
Doctor
ever seen
Strange
that?
is a really good one. No, I haven't seen A
Yeah.
Good Place.
Oh my gosh, you would probably like it.
Okay.
It's so good. It's good just for future
I have to check
reference
it
if
out.
you ever see it anywhere. It's one of those that like I've been able to watch it so many times. Like I've seen the whole series of it probably like 6 times. Because when
Wow.
I'm in like a little show hole, I'm like, what am I gonna watch? They talk about ethics and philosophy and what happens after you die, and they go through these scenarios where they play through different lifetimes with the same souls
Oh,
repeatedly till they
wow.
convince a universal court that they need to change the system in which they measure people to go heaven and hell because it was very unbalanced.
Oh,
I love it. It's such a great show. I
wow.
love it so much. But it's hilarious.
And it's
But I
funny
want
when once you go through a spiritual awakening and you watch this media, like these movies and shows, like you get a much very different meaning from it when
oh yeah.
you've gone through these experiences, you know what I mean?
You realize that they're showing you what it really is, and it's
Yes.
not just the movies. And then that
Yes.
famous phrase that they get to say then when you try to compare it to a movie, it's like that's just your mind. That's just because you saw it in
Yeah.
a movie. And it's like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
no, it's the disclosure.
Yeah.
So what I was saying about that experience that I had after I came back into my body, I had some repeated, very intense downloads of information about my soul, the different lifetimes that I've experienced, what I'm supposed
Okay.
to be doing, and how the world works, like the archontic matrix, the false matrix, and like what
Uh-huh.
they're doing to kids, and the whole basically like Epstein
Wow.
stuff, like all that kind of reality. And then I was like, what the fuck is this? This is a nightmare. Like, I don't know. Is it like the Truman Show? I remember saying
Yeah.
that. Is it like the Truman Show? Um, but after I had that experience, I started wondering like what the actual fuck. And I really was trusting things that just were coming to me. Um,
Hmm.
and somehow I came across Amy's podcast. I started listening to her, but she had just had her son and she wasn't available for readings. And I worked with one of her proteges named Heather, and I did a
Okay.
container with her. And she was telling me about how a faction of aliens for lifetimes, but in this lifetime as well, have abducted my consciousness many times. And they put me in simulations where I have to struggle to get out. Like I'll be in a swamp
Wow.
climbing, digging, fighting. And they continuously do this because they're trying to study me. They're trying to figure out why I never give up. And I'm like, what the actual fuck? What? What? And
Wow.
she's like, yeah, it's mostly in your dreams. Like you usually don't remember it, but like it's a portion of your consciousness that they continuously
Oh.
test on because they want to figure out, they can't understand why you never give up. And I was like, I mean, the simplest answer is because I am made of source, because I've source in me
Uh-huh.
and source never
Yeah.
ends
Yeah.
or gives up and never will. So that's a
Yeah.
simple answer. And she's like, yeah, they just can't understand that because they're not connected to source. Like they just can't understand. That's why they're like, what are we gonna do? How, why, why does it's
Yeah.
so weird? Like that's the only thing they're trying to figure out. They're not trying to torture me specifically. They're
Uh-huh.
trying to figure out why I never give up, which is it's funny to
They're
me
trying to figure out the
sometimes.
resilience of your
Ye-
consciousness.
Yeah, it's like
Why is she
that's
so strong? Yeah.
yeah. So for the longest time, and Amy was one of the first people that said to me that she thought I was in the 20 and back program. And I never even heard of that. I was like, what are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's a deep rabbit hole where
Yeah.
it's like time travel and stuff like that.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
we got to do an episode on that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's also like they can copy your consciousness and put it into a body. Like not just use your consciousness and put it back in your own
Yeah.
body, but copy it and send it off into make super soldiers that way. Like I've heard people talking about it. I've looked
Wow.
into some survivors' tales after I even heard about what it was. I've looked into people's
Hmm.
things, Tony Rodriguez and different things, but they have like firsthand knowledge of training. I didn't have experiences
Yeah.
like that. A lot of this stuff is in my dreams.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, a lot of it personally for me is sexual abuse and like
Oh
super
no.
soldier like missions like I'm like a an assassin but I'm also still a female and like that translates like into my life. Like one time I woke up and I saw people standing around my bed and the okay, so when I say people I only say that because they were shaped like people but all I could see was the outline.
Okay.
The inside of where their body would be was like moving around like wavy heat like what you like a mirage.
Oh, okay. 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 Yeah.
So that's the only way I could see it. If that wasn't happening, I would, but I think that that was because they were a different frequency. And I've
Yeah.
subsequently learned that there's like VR technology that people associated with the secret space program and or satanic ritual abuse or ball worship, different things like that. They have technology to like not just astral project, but they do like life force harvesting, like through
Oh
your
shit.
dreams. I'm getting like a crazy Charlie horse in my foot right now. But
Yeah, we got to get
anyway,
you on my show to talk about this. So, do you still have dreams like this?
oh shit. Sorry, I have a crazy Charlie horse. Do I have dreams like this? I don't often have dreams because I smoke so much weed. I don't
Same, same.
think I know that I do stuff in my dreams. I travel, I go places, I do
Uh-huh.
things. Sometimes I remember them,
But
but
when you don't smoke as much, that's when you remember them more.
yeah, so that's
Yeah,
why I
same,
smoke
same.
because they're kind of fucked
Oh,
up.
okay.
So I don't really
Wow.
want to.
Wow.
But you gotta to change it, you gotta see it. You gotta experience. But I just have so much going on in my like waking life too that it's
Hmm.
almost like too much. And I really truly believe that like everything will happen in timing. Everything will it's like it's okay. Because I also consciously do work to like disconnect from that version of myself that I've
Yeah.
just recently identified. But like I didn't go looking for this. And I
Yeah.
don't think it's common, but people have I have worked with people specifically for this. Like Amy, for example, said, "Yeah, your consciousness is in two different places. Like this is not a past life. Like it's you in two like places, but like you're
Oh, whoa.
not necessarily in another dimension. Like it's still this dimension. It's just
It's like
in
parallel.
space. Like yeah, it's like the other side of the moon kind of shit, you know?
Dang.
It's
So,
fun.
so how do you, what are the things you have done to strengthen the ways that you can tap into your like intuitive abilities and stuff like that and be more aligned to your channel?
Um, that bilocated consciousness aside, because that's not what that's new. Not it's not new. My awareness of it is new, and my
Yeah.
working on that is new. So separate from that, what I do to tune my channel, because that's me, this is just a copy that's still tied to me, like, you know, in my nervous system, essentially, but
Yeah.
not like consciously. So I don't count that. But how I tune myself, uh, really is like coming to my heart. It's very easy for me. I feel very fortunate
Uh-huh.
to have this like endless well of hope. It's like built in. It's not even like a choice for me.
Yeah.
It just happens like
Okay.
automatically. If I saw like for example,
Wow.
when I saw these horrible disclosure things that came in after I had that experience, which I don't remember everything because it was so much at
Uh-huh.
once, but like I felt that in my body. And that's like, it's in there, but I blocked some things too. So I'm trying to like open that up. That was 4 years ago, and I'm still trying to like unravel it. But um
Yeah.
yeah, I just asking questions and taking my time and like integrating emotional, letting my emotions out. And I just like trust myself. So hard. The hardest thing for
Yeah.
me to do
Yeah.
for the longest time was to just like accept that when I receive that information, I'm not wrong. Like just say the thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
say the
that was I
thing,
think that
do
was the
the thing.
biggest thing that like stopped me in the program and me and Amy discussed it on the episode. She said she got into tarot because she was like, I'm not even sure if I'm gonna be doing readings for people and they're gonna be accurate. And I told her that's where I'm at right now, which is why I read tarot. And another reason why I read tarot is because, I'm into symbolism and stuff like that and I can,
Yeah.
inherently understand a lot of it. But yeah, I'm glad that you said that because when I was going through the Akashic Reading Records program, the first thing you have to do is drop into your heart space. And then when you start
Mhm.
talking about, compassion and unconditional love and stuff like that's like the energy
It's the
of that
frequency.
chakra.
Literally,
Yeah.
you
And it's,
have to have that to get to
mhm,
that frequency. Like you
yeah,
must. Yeah.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
requirement.
because
Yeah.
yeah, and it's part of like releasing the ego because you have to tell the difference between, is this information that I'm receiving part of my ego or is it something that's coming from a channel that I'm tuned to? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and the funny thing about that though is humanity is forced to enter the heart chakra and balance that. So I think that's the reason why everyone will eventually have these abilities when the spiritual awakening happens because that's our natural evolution is to go back
Absolutely.
into the heart and understand, not only gratitude, but unconditional love and compassion and everything that's associated with the heart chakra. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a vortex.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah. It's funny. I thought people they used to say it was a pump, huh? Your
Yeah.
heart pumps, they say.
Yeah.
I guess it does pump, but it's a vortex. It's not a pump. I think they recently discovered that, or they've known it and they like just marketed it like I have no idea. Like it's so interesting. Fact versus what we're taught. Like the actual facts of
Uh-huh.
what happened versus what they teach you. Even like things about things they do teach you, like the Trail of Tears. That's in history books in schools all over America.
Mhm.
They don't say all of it though. They don't talk about
Yeah.
the straight facts of what happened. Like they just cover the migration portion. They don't say, oh, they intentionally handed them blankets that were infected to kill them and force them to walk
Yeah.
on foot with no resources. And like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
convenient
Yeah.
that you left that out, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's been difficult for me because of that heart space awareness. For
Hmm.
the longest time, I was just open, so open that's also vulnerable. But over time, like I realized that that's like your superpower. It's
Mhm.
really important to always be able to like have compassion, even if someone hurt you, like to understand that, like
Yes.
to separate yourself from it and be like, they didn't do that to me. Like it's not personal. Like they did that because
Yes.
they're them.
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
me. That's them.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
let that go.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's why one of my favorite books is the Four Agreements, because one of the agreements is don't take anything personal. And once you realize that anything, it could be the most personal thing to you, it could be like, you suck at what you do, you're ugly, you're fucking, you can say anything about me that I'm pretty sure that could hurt me. You know what I mean? But at the end of the
yeah.
day, it's not because of me. It's whatever happened to you, and your whole timeline of your life brought you to the moment where you felt like you needed to hurt me. So that just has everything to do with you. So once I
Yeah.
understood that you don't have to take anything personal, it was much more easier to navigate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You're making me think of this. There was a random person on Facebook. I don't even go on Facebook much. I'm more on like Instagram. I just feel like there's a division, like there's like sort of a delineation between like, I don't know, Facebook's too much for me, but too much like fake AI stuff. Like it's like way too,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
anyway, but
yeah.
someone sent me a message on my business page and they just said, heal my trauma. Like not like, hello, how are you? How can I get in
Yeah.
touch with you? Even though I have all my links up, they send me a message, heal my trauma. So I like something happened. I like don't even think I responded because I was going to explain like I don't heal your trauma for you. Like I can work with you to support you in your journey. Like, but I was
Mhm.
gonna like type something out, but something, whatever was going on, I couldn't open it. I didn't do it. Also, that rubbed me the wrong way. So I just didn't prioritize responding. And then he started to write like a bunch more messages because I didn't respond. He's like, fuck you, this is fake bullshit, like, popped off at me. And then I was like, I said, everything that you have said here, like he sent like 4 to 6 messages and I didn't say anything. And I was like, everything that you said here is just a reflection of you. Like this is only you in this conversation. Like read that
Mhm.
back.
Yeah.
And he started to criticize me and said that I looked like a tranny. And he's like, nice eyebrows. And I was like, wait a minute. So I think that you were like drawn to me on like a sexual level and I didn't respond or
Yeah, yeah,
reciprocate.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
you wanted to have some type of connection that was like not aligned with what I'm doing. And
Mhm.
then because I didn't respond, like it triggered the shit out of him. And
Yeah.
then he attacked how I look, which I've never in my life heard that before. Uh, that's a new one.
Yeah.
So then I was like, again, this is a reflection of you. And what does that say? That you wanted that type of connection, and you now say that I look like a tranny. So like that isn't that interesting? Do you think maybe that's something that you're repressing? And then he just blocked me, deleted all the like it's so funny.
Wow.
Oh my, I was trying to help you heal your trauma,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You ended
He's
up helping him. You ended up, hey, let's stare into these wounds you got, you know?
It's so, but see, at a certain point in my life, I would have been like hurt by that.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it's so much easier to see. Like people really, the majority of people are so unaware of their conscious projection, like their unconscious projections onto other
Yes,
people. And
yes.
like, oh, we need to be aware and take heed when we ask for advice or when we're
Mhm.
sharing something and someone
Yeah,
offers unsolicited advice.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like, oh, I want to move to Australia. Wouldn't it be fun to live
yeah,
in Japan? Like, fucking do something, something different.
yeah,
Just because that person wouldn't do it or thinks that it's crazy or it's a lot or too much or not possible, and then they start
yeah,
telling you how it's crazy or too much or not possible. And you're like, that's all yours.
yeah,
Thoughts. That's all
yeah.
your
What
has
all it
nothing to do with
also
me.
goes to show you how much detachment is important. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? If you're detached from the things that are happening to you on this plane, I think that's why meditation is so important, because it teaches detachment. It teaches you that you're not your thoughts, you're not the things that happen to you, You're this spirit that's having this human experience. And once you can detach yourself from that, you won't be as hurt by somebody who's just gunning for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Uh, I was thinking earlier too, I appreciate that you are a musician and you like rap. I also love rap. I have like my whole life.
Oh,
Big Pun's
nice.
probably my favorite rapper.
Ah, I love Big Pun.
Yeah, right. So it's interesting. When I had my spiritual awakening, I also was listening to a lot of music because I receive a lot of information
Uh-huh.
that way. Not
Yeah.
only the words, but the emotions and the thoughts that then I connect, but sometimes the words, sometimes. And
Mhm.
after that experience, I think I had a kundalini awakening as well. That was it
Nice.
was like all of it. So I was very like the synchronicities were beyond comprehension. Like, I mean, literally, like,
Yes.
I got to the
Yes.
point where I was like, I don't know what's real a little bit. I feel,
I had a good probably 7 days of synchronicities from when I heard Tinfoil Hat podcast with Sean Bupri where he talked about taking mushrooms and talking to Thoth from ancient Egypt. And then I started studying that. And then for the next 7 days, I had all these synchronicities, which led up to my Kundalini awakening, which I felt
wow.
like, yeah, I had like an omnipresence. I think you, if you listen to the episode with Amy, I explained it on there, but yeah, I just felt like I was everything, everywhere, all at once, and I'm just like in this
Yeah.
meditation pose that my body does involuntarily, where I'm just like, I felt like I was having a stroke. You know what I mean? I felt like the
Mhm.
walls of reality were breaking down around me, and I was just like, oh shit, like I need to go lay down somewhere. So
Yeah.
I went in my bathroom. There was like a little towel on the floor. I'm just lay down.
Yes.
I'm gonna just lay down until I feel better, and then I just automatically, and then the pose I'm in, I can see a silhouette of like it's the common one you see of the Buddha, of the it's the not the fat Buddha, but the skinny Buddha, and it was like a black silhouette, and then from it were emanating alternating black and white lines, so it looked kind of
Oh.
psychedelic, and I'm like, oh, and then like it was basically telling me like I was the frequency of like of enlightenment in that moment, and I was like, I got it. I got everything in that moment. And then when I started to come down from that, I'm like, oh shit, like life's a trip. And then like you feel like you receive like all the information of the universe, but then the veil of forgetfulness and spiritual amnesia like kind of takes it away. But you kind of retain some
Yeah.
of it, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
you
you have to keep remembering, keep
yeah,
experiencing. For
yeah,
me,
yeah,
it's been 4 years and I'm still going over the same shit
yeah,
because it's constant. It's constant work and yeah, you do integrate it. You do.
yeah,
It
yeah,
is in you. It lives in your body.
yeah. And the
And
cool
trusting your body like you did,
yeah,
making
yeah,
the sounds. Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome. I'm so
yeah,
glad that you trusted yourself and let
yeah.
that be expressed. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was funny too because at that time I was at a very I just had a just dark night of the soul. I think 1 or 2 years earlier, my ex-girlfriend had broken up with me, and I was just going through like this whole thing, you know what I mean? And the funny thing was, I was just like, you know what? Like, I think everything's cool. Like, I'm gonna just stop doing music. I'm gonna just save my money, try to get a house, and just try to do things like, like a different way, you know what I mean? And then I ended up getting this it was like an inheritance of like these bonds that my grandpa had bought me like when I was like 5 years old or something like that. And it was enough money to like put in my retirement account and then like invest in a little bit of stuff. And then I was like, okay, like let me start to do music again. And I did like this 6 song EP about like my dark night of the soul, like how like I was like, how my girl left me and then I had to go through like this spiritual transformation. And then I went through all that. And then just like when all that was happening, it was just like when my spiritual awakening happened and then all the stuff that I kind of had known before just from researching all of it, like, like we are all one and stuff like that, like time isn't linear. Like I had already known these concepts and believed them before, but then once you go through that experience, like you kind of know that information on like a deeper level, you know what I
It
mean?
locks in. It
Yeah,
locks
it
in
really does.
physically.
Yeah.
Yes. It's no longer a thought, it's a feeling. And that
Hmm.
is a different level of recognition. Uh,
Hmm.
for sure. I totally agree. It's so funny. I love uh like I said, I love rap. I listen to lo-fi now because
Okay.
something that I also discovered is, hmm, I like real rap. I like conscious rap. I like
Yeah.
Common, like
Yeah.
the Roots and Mick Jenkins and just there's I could say a million. Mac Miller, he's my favorite. Like so
Yeah.
it's so but I don't like mumble rap. I don't like
Uh-huh.
I'll kill your bitch and sell
Yeah,
drugs
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know I don't want to hear shit like that. I don't like to
Yeah.
hear negative things because I'm very empathic and I just don't need that in my field. I also don't like to hear the N word repeatedly. That's, I don't love that. So I listen to lo-fi a lot. I just love the
Nice,
beats. And
nice.
it
Yeah.
reminds me of when I was little. I was probably like eight to 10. And I used to fall asleep every night to smooth jazz.
Oh, no way. I love
Like,
falling asleep to lo-fi beats. It's so
yes.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like the frequency,
Yeah.
music or
Yeah.
lo-fi for sleep. Yeah, I do that.
It's good
But
for studying too, studying or
yes,
like when you're working, because like sometimes when I'm working and I listen to a song that I know and I'm like writing something down, I'm like, okay, I can't focus on listening to these lyrics and writing
100%.
this down. So
A
listen to some
hundred
instrumentals.
percent.
But yeah, I feel that 100% because I feel like the more in tune I'm getting with my spirit, the less I am resonating with even some of the songs I worked out to before. You know what I mean? I'm just like, you know
Yeah.
what? Let me fucking put it on some Earth, Wind, and Fire or something like that. That could get me hype. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it's like
Yeah.
it's just like you said, like it's the language and it's the being empathetic and being clairvoyant and really feeling not only what the music is saying, but even the emotion that was happening at the time the song was recorded. You know what I mean?
hmm And the intentional because of the music industry and the
Hmm.
infiltration of
Yeah.
all of the darkness everywhere in the world, not to say in a discouraging way, I mean, just honestly. And so it's up to us to make these choices to not allow it to come into our fields if
Hmm.
we feel called to separate from it. But
Yeah.
yeah, basically anything that's on the radio, I'm pretty sure it's loaded up with sigils. I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that Taylor Swift is Zena LeVay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to hear her shit. I think that it's really, really wild out there.
The
I
funny
believe
thing
that.
is the veil is lifting right now. I believe there's a spiritual awakening going on, and a lot of these artists that have spells in their music, they don't have their stronghold on the masses anymore. And the funny thing about that is Taylor Swift just released an album recently, and everybody is like, even her fans are like, this is so ass. And everybody else is like, I've hated Taylor Swift for the longest, like, and you guys are barely catching up, you know what I mean? But I think it has something to do with the magic that they put into the music in order to sell it to the masses, you know what I mean? And there's a lot
Yeah,
of systems that are falling right now. And I was going to ask you about the whole conspiracy thing because, Trump's trying to avoid releasing the Epstein files, and he's like, all right, we're going to release the alien files now. And it kind of
yeah.
all seems like a look at this hand so you don't look at this hand, but
The
also too I
Truman
was
Show.
asking,
Yeah.
yeah, I was asking my buddies on the podcast this weekend, like, do you think that this is all part of the spiritual awakening, the revelations in the political and the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, as well as us getting disclosure with the alien thing? Like, this is all kind of coming to a head. Like, right when 2026 was going to happen. I don't know if you know about the Chris Bledsoe story about how he met, the lady
Yes.
and had his experience and all that stuff.
Yes.
That's, the Star of Regulus is supposed to be over the Sphinx on Easter, and that's going to be like next month, I think, like that. And it's just
Wow.
like so many things are happening in this concentrated amount of time. I just wanted to ask you, do you think all the things that are happening in the conspiracy world are coinciding with the spiritual awakening?
Yes, I think that it's necessary disclosure, but I also think that it is intentionally sensationalized and restricted and manipulated and then suddenly dumped on us to overwhelm us to
Hmm.
and the distractions and the so it's like a for me I like to be open to hear anything.
Hmm.
Like I remember years and years ago I was watching this show and it was like trying to say that Sasquatch is indigenous and that we are aliens and that we are like a breed, like a mixture of like, and
Yeah.
so I'm listening to this and I'm like, fucking maybe, could be.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
listen to
Yeah.
anything, I'll think about anything. Like, I'm not closed off to that, but that doesn't mean I like adopt it into like, this is the
It
way it is. Like,
Well, it
because
even
I
goes
think
back
it
to like,
shifts, it
mhm.
changes.
Yeah, absolutely. It even goes back to like Egyptian mythology, Greek mythology, or like Mesopotamian mythology and stuff like that. It's like, okay, is this really mythology? You know what I mean?
I
Is,
think it's real.
Yeah,
I
exactly. I
think it
think it's
was
real on
real.
some level. I
Yeah.
think it was must have been real on a higher dimensional level, which is why there's so many parallels to all, most of these religions have like a 12 god pantheon and stuff like that, and that
Yeah.
correlates like, the 12 constellations and stuff like that. And you see all these different syncretistic similarities in all these different places. And me and Amy talked about it, and it could be that, that everything is true as opposed to just
Oh
one
yeah.
thing being true. You
Oh,
know what I mean?
I
Yeah.
think that is the truth. Everything is the truth. And we, by our perspectives and our
Yes.
framework of what we're able to
Yes.
like intellectualize and imagine and put energy into, it's all
Yes.
different. Like the multiverse is real. That's what it,
Yes.
yeah, it's not
Absolutely.
one way. And there are many different realities, even in one person's existence. But
Hmm.
uh, like for example, I feel like I'm pretty multidimensional. Like you might see me, meet me. If I'm not talking about this spirituality stuff with anyone, I'm just like out there. You wouldn't know like what I do for work. You wouldn't know what I've done in my life. You wouldn't know that I have subs in my trunk. You wouldn't think
Yeah.
that. Like, but like, and it's like you don't know that I smoke joints and like, you would think, oh, she's a mom. Oh, she's a white suburban woman. Like we can classify things or we can like allow for the multidimensionality that each one of us holds in ourselves, but we have to be able
Hmm.
to like apply that to other people and like understand like for example, Deepak Chopra.
Yes.
People listening to what he had to say, and what he had to say wasn't necessarily bad, but what
Yeah.
now we're understanding he's not just over here like we thought he was.
Yes.
He's dipping
Yes.
in over here.
Yes.
Well, does that change what he said all those years? I don't
Exactly.
know.
Yeah.
Does it? Like Reiki was channeled given to us by an entity.
Yeah.
So when you're engaging in Reiki and you're doing those symbols, that you're making a contract with an entity to exchange energy, to move energy, and that's good or bad. Depends how you look at it, and
Yeah.
whatever. Um,
Yeah.
it just is. Nothing is good or bad. That's what I've really learned. It's
Yes.
now there's
Yes.
a line though, because like the shit that we're talking about, like the elites and all that shit, that is bad. That is wrong. That must end.
Hmm.
That's where we're coming into a
Yes.
new,
Yes.
because this I call it an archontic energy. That's what I believe it to be.
Hmm.
Like as a priestess in Lemuria, I know that like lifetime after lifetime, that's where it started, was that energy coming in and basically like the degradation of women and children,
Yeah.
murdering the men, and like just totally inverting our energy for to fuel their fuel their stronghold in this physical reality, because they were coming up from a lower frequency and they had to
Yeah.
lower us to be able to integrate. And just like parasites. Earlier
Yeah.
today, I'm chewing on my own teeth. I was like, you remember, like grinding my teeth, and I was like, do I have fucking parasites? I like started taking parasite cleanse, ate some papaya seeds. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Why am I? But there's so much energy going on right now.
Hmm.
I'm not even like aware all the time of the astrological transits, or I didn't
Yeah.
look into any of the UFO stuff that was released by the government because I have my own like I can see them sometimes.
Wow.
Like in the sky. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm I've seen some astral bodies in the sky, that things moving that they don't move, things don't move that
Yeah.
way. That like
Yeah.
light
Yeah.
that can just go all over the place and like flash and disappear and change colors. Like that's not anything that we know of. So I've already had my opportunity to believe that that's real, and I wholeheartedly do. I'm not afraid of anything because I think when you can be centered in your heart,
Hmm.
and like we were talking about, the realities are all different.
Yeah.
It's how you perceive it. It's what you make it. I really
Yeah.
believe that.
Yeah. I mean, especially as someone, who's, literally jumped timelines before, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't even know that that is what happened. When it happened, I thought that I was put into a simulation, especially because when I looked up, I saw that
Oh,
screen and I was like, what is happening? And the guy that I was with was like sitting on a couch and he was like laughing. He was like watching. And then he kept like looking up and talking. Like he would like look up and then respond to me. And I was like, you aren't who I think you are. I don't
wow.
know who you are.
Wow.
You're not who I think you are. But at the same time, I wasn't really, yeah, it was scary, but I wasn't like afraid, because when it was happening, I wasn't thinking, oh no, I'm scared. I can't fight. Because at the same time, I realized how powerful I was by having that. For me, it's very easy. And I don't mean to say that in like a blasé way of like, I'm just so good about going back into my heart and being loved. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
mean
yeah.
it to sound like that, because I can also be very angry. And it's like sacred rage, I would say. I'm not
Yeah.
angry about like stupid stuff like traffic. I'm do like I'm just jamming out. I'm
Yeah.
having a good time. I never get mad at people unless they're like straight up reckless, like really reckless. But yeah, no, I don't get upset in the traffic or anything like that anymore. And it's such a freeing attitude. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad for that experience actually because it like fractured my reality and
Yeah.
allowed that expanded awareness to come in. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It makes things so much better when you have when you're able to not let things get you angry as much, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think it's because I realized that that's what they eat for breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
don't feed them
Yeah,
breakfast.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because the more you go in that direction, it's like snowball effect. You know what I mean? Like, why am
Yeah.
I even getting me even angrier? You know, the angrier I
Yeah.
get. Yeah, yeah. We got
Yeah.
to get you on our show to talk about all this stuff.
That would be fun. And
Yeah.
so the thing about me is I don't have like a lot of knowledge. I don't do a lot of research, but I have some experiences and I
Hmm.
have some understandings of my own. So I might
Oh yeah.
not use the right language. Like sometimes
Uh-huh.
I talk with people and they might have a word for something. Like I was talking months ago to somebody that I ran into that I knew for years, and he's very well educated not through the school system, but on his own. He's highly intelligent, the things that he found interesting and what he focused on. So I think he's cool. And we were talking about something, and I was essentially talking about like archontic energy, the parasitic, demonic, not horrible shit that like elite stuff. And he was describing like Gaza and Israel and Zionists.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, what's a Zionist? But we're talking about the same people.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, but
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
like I don't have the language, you know what
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah,
And so, but it's through talking, things
yeah,
get understood.
yeah.
And then once you hear a word like that, because I was like, what does that mean? Then I look it up and I'm like, oh, okay. I
Hmm.
mean, we're talking about the same thing, but
Yeah.
yeah. I keep bringing up like really scary negative shit. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I don't mean to do that.
It's probably the nature of talking to us or me because outside minds we do conspiracy and all that stuff. But I think it all intersects. I try to have conspiracy episodes and I try not to do too many of those and I try to switch it over to psychedelics and then
Yeah.
spirituality and I try to jump around a little bit so that it's not all doom and gloom and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yes, totally. Well,
Yeah.
one thing I forgot to say earlier when you were talking about a psychedelic experience and then your Kundalini experience and the different things, were you on psychedelics when that happened or it was just Kundalini?
No. Well,
Yeah, it was just,
I was smoking weed.
oh
But
yeah,
I
yeah,
at that point at the time, because I've had very psychedelic experiences from smoking weed. There was one time where I had a very negative experience. But that was after like 3 months of not smoking. But at the time I had my Kundalini awakening, I was smoking in the garage. But at that point, I had been smoking every day for like probably like 15, 20 years.
yeah. But it hit you all crazy. That's what happened to me
Yeah.
because I would smoke like a joint or two a day and not really be affected. I was highly functioning. I was like running
Uh-huh.
a landscaping business, managing my family, like
Wow.
doing a bunch of stuff. So I'm like able to do what needs to be done. But then when that experience happened, I if I took one hit of weed, I'd be like out of my mind high. And I
Wow.
think it was like a
Yeah.
frequency change. And
It,
that
no, it is.
happens like, so it doesn't matter like your tolerance sometimes because when the stars align, like I think there was an
Yeah.
eclipse going on. I had the
Yeah.
Kundalini awakening, that like experience had like it was insane. But I hope that kind of I hope that level of experience never happens again to me. That was
Yeah.
enough. One
Yeah.
was
Yeah. Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
But I never had a psychedelic experience prior to that. I did mushrooms once in high school, maybe like half a gram or less.
Hmm.
And I stayed in my friend's bedroom all night alone. And I listened to Bob Marley. It was a beautiful experience. I just
Yeah.
chilled. I didn't trip really. Like I didn't have, it was only half a gram.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but then after I had that Kundalini experience, I did do mushrooms with a friend, and I similarly saw black and white. It was like I looked up and it was like a big moon. I felt like I was in a courthouse, like I was being judged. And I looked up and it was like a circle in the sky, half black, half white. And I heard like it sounded like kind of like Charlie Brown's teacher. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, I felt like my hands were behind my back and I couldn't speak. And I was like, being judged. It was so weird. And then I like looked up and I started to really strain to hear, and I heard, "What do we have here?" And then I felt like I couldn't talk. So here's what I want to say. When I had this psychedelic experience, I was with a friend, we were out by the fire, and then I passed out. And this is what happened when I passed out. And I couldn't speak, but I tried very hard with my heart. Because again, it's just automatic. It comes
Yeah,
out of there.
yeah,
So I was like, I don't have to use words. I can just, ugh. And so I was like, I only want good things. Like I tried really hard to just be like, I only want good, like in the world.
yeah.
And then I was like, woke up, threw up immediately, which I think was purging because I was like, I
Wow.
want the light. I want
Yeah,
good
yeah, yeah,
things. I
yeah, yeah,
only
yeah.
want to be good. And then
Wow.
it was crazy. But
Wow.
again, I didn't do that many, probably half a gram. That's like a normal low. There, you shouldn't really necessarily hallucinate on that much, right?
No, 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 no.
No,
No, not that
it's
much.
more of
Yeah,
a
but yeah.
connection. Yeah,
Yeah, like you said, you were probably like super aligned and yeah, you probably just like you probably super aligned to the channel at that moment, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Plus a little bit the shrooms probably helped a little bit, you know.
Oh yeah,
And
oh
being with
yeah,
friends, being by the fire, being in nature, I'm pretty sure those were all factors that contributed to that happening.
yeah, yeah. It was really cool. And now I think about it, I think it was Melano. Do you know who Melano is?
No.
The daughter of Persephone.
Oh, wow.
So Hades and Persephone's daughter, and she's half black, half white. Like I mean, like split, like half her body's black, half her body's white. And she's both. She represents the duality of like the
Yeah.
underworld and also like the plan after
Yeah.
and before. And she's connected to both of them, and I find that so beautiful that that the capacity. But she does have like responsibility in that realm of the underworld and the shadow excavation. It was very interesting. It was a younger girl's voice that I heard. Now, what do we have here? It was very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I woke up to my friend being like, Chrissy, wake up. And I was just like, oh, and then threw up. And I was just like, holy shit, I'm actually fine though. Like, I feel great. But that was so weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. But
So
then
is
after that, just small dabbles with microdosing. And then I've also participated in, I think, 4 plant medicine journeys, but like in ceremony, like I've traveled to go sit in circle with a very intentional plant medicine
yeah.
facilitator and to do work. So it wasn't just like, uh, back alley
Yeah, yeah,
bullshit.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. I'm kind of scared to do that, but who knows? Maybe I'll try it one day.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to ask me before I sign out? Because I do got to go pretty soon.
Oh, yes.
We can totally do another episode too if we're running
Yeah,
out
I
of
would
time.
love to. I would
Yeah,
love to.
yeah. After
Anything
you
to
come on
ask you,
my show, of course. Yeah,
can you please share your information? Where can we find you? Outside
yeah.
Minds podcast.
Okay, so you can find us Outside Minds Podcast. You can find that Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Follow us in all those places, and then you can find me personally at Steelo Free, Steelo Free. That's my artist name. I have some music on Spotify if you want to check it out. I haven't really been working on that too much, but go ahead and check it out. It's cool. But yeah, other than that, you that's where you can find me. And
Yeah,
that's why sorry to cut you off, but on TikTok and Instagram, that's where I make most of my videos on like, esoteric philosophy, tarot, and then I post clips of the podcast. So if you guys are like interested in the information that me and Christine have been discussing, then follow me there, Outside Minds Podcast.
yes. Thank you so much, Jeremy. I really
Yeah.
appreciate talking
Yeah,
with you today. I think this is the
absolutely.
beginning of an awesome communication
I
friendship,
think
and
so. Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to talking with you again, especially about the more into conspiracy theories and government programs. I find it
Yeah.
so fascinating.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't want to ask you anything. I more want to say, uh, along the lines of when we were talking and you said you're halfway through that program and you're scared to get things wrong or trust yourself, and that's why you're utilizing tarot. I say,
Is this
stop
my
that.
cue to go for it?
Yeah, I say stop that. I say get
Okay.
started on your class and trust yourself. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
you
Cool.
got this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's not difficult when you realize how natural it is and how connected you
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
inherently. And the hardest part is allowing it for yourself,
Yeah.
trusting yourself. But
Thank you. Well,
it's
thank
it's
you. I
easier
appreciate that.
than yeah, it's easier said
Yeah.
than done. But I'm
Yeah.
telling you, you can do it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate that. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Take care.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, that's all for this episode, but we will be talking again. I was a bad host this time and I talked more about myself than I asked him questions. But to be fair, I just recently heard his awakening story in his own words on Amy's podcast. So I feel like he was trying to get to know me and my story a little bit, and it informed you all as well, which is a good thing. So it's all in the right timing, divine timing, but we will definitely hear from him again on a broad range of subjects going into the future. So, how exciting to make connections. I love it. I've been in touch with him back and forth, and he helped me figure out why I couldn't share any dope ass music on my Instagram posts. So, look out for those. They'll be, getting a lot better now that I can put Mac Miller on. Thank you so much for that, by the way, Jeremy. Um, Also, I wanted to leave you with a little bit of his music. So I'm going to head out. I'll see you next time. And the next episode that I have to share with you will be with Native American shaman Eagle Skyfire, a reading that she did for me in January of 2022, about 8 months after I had my timeline jump. And this is like the first time that I actually talked about it out loud the way that I did. So, I hope you look forward to hearing that. I had a wonderful time listening to it, as I mentioned previously, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Until then, take care. And if you've been thinking about having a session with me for Akashic Records, right now there is a link in the show notes for 40% off. So it won't last long. I don't know when I'll end that, but something told me to do it. Maybe for you. For now, enjoy the beautiful changeover to spring and this track by Steelo Free called Light and Shadows.
Pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. It's all love, but no trust. Why you think I'm doing too much? Cause pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. I roll up and go up. Why you tripping, give me no love? Nowadays you don't gotta mind me. In the end I hope you really find peace. I had to set my mind free, I had to let my soul breathe. Moon sign Pisces, heart broke psyche. Angels all around me, but demons wanna fight me. Feel like I had to fight myself. No, I had to look inside myself. With a predisposition to addiction. Through the negatives, I'm still focused on the vision. It's sorta like that first scene you see in Pulp Fiction. I see the end, but it's really only the beginning. I had to find a way to be grateful for them locked doors that you made close. When doves cry, it's so painful, but the purple rain is so graceful. Cause pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. It's all love, but no trust. Why you think I'm doing too much? Cause pressure made diamonds, lay back, smoking loud in the silence. I roll up and go up. Why you tripping, give me no love? I'm fighting battles, lost between the lights and the shadows. Tryna shoot me down, I'm dodging all the ammo. Left me hanging, I escaped from the gallows. Swim through the ether, blowing on a reefer. Running like Rev when he rapped about Adidas. It's like my flow is heaven sent. My energy could shift the cards in your tarot deck. Life ain't always what it seems. An alternate reality, I'm living in a dream. I got the Stussy on the T with the 501 jeans. Ray-Ban Lokes with the Air Max 3s. Mandela effect, got me living my best. I gotta jump timelines when I'm living in stress. And a spliff in my chest, it got me lifting and blessed. Peace, you know the rest.